Good morning, Zio here, and we are going to talk about Star Wars. That's right, that's a topic I don't think I've actually covered on here before. We're going to talk about Star Wars and the true toxic fans of Star Wars. So let's get into it, shall we? Star Wars, something that I enjoy. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars, have been for a very long time. So many different things, from the video games to the comics to the books to the movies. There's just so much goodness into this, universe that I feel Disney threw away. Of course, we're going to get probably somewhat ranty in this, so stay tuned for that, I guess, if you're really into that sort of thing. But we're here to talk about the true toxic fandom. There's plenty of things out there, especially right after one of the last two movies released, where they were talking about the toxic fandoms. The fandom is toxic and all this other stuff. So-and-so gets run off Twitter or whatever because of toxic fanboys and things like that. And I think that's something that really does need to eventually be addressed and talked about, because who is really this part of this toxic fandom? Because a lot of people, like, say me, the one that these articles are directed to, of course, because we're critical of the movies and we think that they could maybe, do better. Because Disney was literally handed a golden, whatever, and I feel they squandered it horribly wrong, especially with these last two movies, that I really don't feel the need to go and see this next one. And that's bad, because I want to. I want to be that guy who was floating around Twitter watching that, watching the trailer and getting super excited. I should be that guy when it comes to this, because I'm just a huge fan of the Star Wars mythos. I may not know every bit of detail of the lore and this, that, and the other, but I know enough to enjoy it, and to really get into it, to really like it, because there's nothing like holding a lightsaber or two and bashing your enemies into the ground. It's one of the reasons I like Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO. But anyway, it has its own other set of issues, which is why I can't regularly play it. But anyway, we're going to go to this. This is where I'm going to start with. It's Anthony Daniels. He's the guy who plays C-3PO, reveals his disappointment with the new films. And I think Mark Hamill has also done the same thing, because, they've got these legacy characters, I guess you can call them. And Disney squandered them so horribly. So much potential that they could have done to just bring the old fans in, bring the prequel fans in, create new fans, and bridge a gap between all these fan bases, and they didn't. It really feels like that they took the original fans and the prequel fans and were like, hey, we know you guys are the fans of Star Wars, but we really want these new fans in, so we're going to dump you in a furnace and be done with you, because we think the new fans are going to carry everything from here on out, so goodbye. So it really feels like what had happened, and then when you get people like myself, or anybody else who's talking about it, they're the toxic fandom, or whatever. I personally have removed myself, of course, from the fandom a while ago, just because so much was happening, but I've always wanted to talk about it, So we're doing that today. But the actor here, pretty much he says, well, yes, I do understand why fans are unhappy. It's not hard. I mean, like I've been saying, you had an opportunity, Disney, and you screwed the pooch on it. Speaks to a devotion that cares so much that they mind if someone messes with it. I understand people being critical of the films, which is what a lot of us are doing. We're being highly critical, because I'm going to get into that. Anyway, He has remained fairly silent until now, while stars like Mark Hamill have dropped loaded comments online and in interviews, which, it's kind of hard to tell where he lies, to be totally honest. I haven't really been following him that much, but sometimes I'll see things where he says one thing and then he's doing like a 180 saying something else, and I'm just like, where exactly do you lie on this? Do you like him? Do you not like him? Anyway. But Daniel says, I know it has been particularly difficult for him, Hamill, lately because of the new movies haven't given him much to do, and I certainly recognize that, and I can relate to it. And that's a whole rant or thing that I will talk about, because anyway, in these new movies, I feel like a table decoration, and that is difficult because I recognize the character C-3PO is worth so much more, but I understand it's a whole film. It's not a feature about C-3PO. True. This is just my personal disappointment. I get paid whether or not he does anything, but it would be nice for him to have a purpose. Whoops, we went a little too far for a second. And, I understand. Like I said, they've got these legacy characters, and they can easily bridge the gap and bring in people and make these new films great. The problem is they were too busy trying to shove in all this new into it that they just decided not to worry about, the old fans of the legacy characters. They were busy trying to shove them out the door and not do anything to properly, set up the movies. It's bad enough that the last two movies have literally been a mirror of the OG movies. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and go watch the original trilogy. Then go and watch this trilogy. This current iteration of trilogies. There are similarities all over the place. But I want to get into the toxic fandom real quick before I start going off onto things that I hate about the new movies and why they miss the mark so much. But these are the new fans, right? These are a lot of the new fans, the blue check marks and everything else. This is the true toxic fandom. It's not the OG fans who are saying, Rey should have been trained by Luke, or what is the deal with Kylo, or who is this one chick and what is her purpose, because nobody really knows. She just seems to have been thrown in there for, I guess, check mark's sake, checking a box, and she doesn't really do much for anything but exist, But this, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, is the true toxic fandom. It's when you got people like this. So you've got this statement here that pretty much, in a nutshell, says, look, not really happy how they carried the legacy characters. I feel, especially my character could have been so much more, could have done something a little more. And instead, it literally was put in a corner for people to go, 3CPO, yes! And that was it. That's all my character did. Because that's exactly what they did with him. And R2-D2 to boot. They replaced both of them with BB-8. And even then, was it really necessary for having BB-8? But anyway. And that he's disappointed in it. That they handled the legacy characters poorly. That the movies themselves are handled poorly. But he also understands at the same time, he's not the main character. So there's not a whole lot more for him to do. But he could have been more than just window dressing. Which is a fair thing to say. I think just about any actor or actress would probably be like that, especially when they have sequel upon sequel upon sequel, and they've been there from, the start or whatever. But yeah, excuse my 2 cents, but if old actors can't play ball about not being the main character, they should leave the ball and go home. What? This is why I say this is the toxic fandom. Have no idea what's going on. don't even read what's actually said, apparently. What was the title of this article? Disappointment with new feels. Doesn't even say anything about being the main character. You know, in what he actually says, he understands he's not the main character, and we're going to get this pleb right here going, excuse my 2 cents, but if actors can't play ball because they're not the main character, they should go home. What? Nobody said anything about that. People were mad at me when I said this, but I was right. I hope 3PO dies. Really? I don't like robots that talk. That's your thing? You don't like robots that talk? What is wrong with that? I mean, come on. But anyway, I definitely want him to die now and stay dead, out of spite. Really? Hot take, Isabella. Hot take. Who is this? This is Lou over here. I can't wait for Ben to kill that golden boomer. Really? Look, see, the thing is, they yell at us for being the toxic fandom, right? People like myself, people of my age or whatever, who are critiquing the films. And what was it, Kelly Marie Trans or whatever her name is? The one who has the role who literally doesn't jack nothing and doesn't need to exist in the movie. I remember seeing her in other things now that I actually know what she looks like, because she doesn't look like herself in the movie. Definitely not with that haircut. Ugh. Anyway, but I'm pretty sure I like her in other things because I've seen her in the past and stuff, and I've never really thought anything bad about it, but that character was just horrible. Anyway, they claim that she was ran off social media because of alt-right misogynistic trolls of the toxic fandom attacking her and coming at her like this, by the way. Like this. You know, I can't point, but like this. Like these people here. And then when asked, can anybody prove this? Can you show us screenshots? Nothing was really provided. It happens a lot. They'll find like 1 or 2 that has like no interaction or something. That's not a blue check mark. That's some kind of Twitter egg or whatever. And go, see? This here equates to 9,999 people. When it's not. Meanwhile, you could go on just a spree of looking it up and put, what is this, 4, 8, 12, and more together in little squares to show off, yeah, this does happen. Just not to the people you seem to think it does. But I digress. Let's continue, shall we? C-3PO was always a side character and the most forgettable in the OG trilogy. I beg to differ. If anybody was to be shown a picture of 3CPO and R2-D2, they may get them wrong. Now, hear me out. They may go, look at 3CPO and go, oh, that's R2-D2, or look at R2-D2 and go, oh, that's 3CPO, because they're not that deep into the fandom or whatever. They're not really like huge fans of Star Wars, but they know of their existence because they're huge compared to, like I was saying, whatever it is that Kelly was playing, the girl that she was playing, or, the purple hair general chick from the second movie. No idea what her name is. I keep confusing Finn and Poe half the time because both of them aren't, they're okay characters, but they're not memorable in a way for me to remember who they are. 3PO and R2, those are memorable characters. People know who they are, even if they don't outright know exactly which one is which. But whatever. I honestly didn't know Anthony Daniels was still alive. I'm sure you didn't. What is that? Is that Britney? Britney Spears? Is that what she looks like? I don't know. I don't know who that is. Anyway, when was a 3PO more than a talking prop? Well, he's been around doing all sorts of things. Keeping R2 in check, and R2's keeping him in check. Have you seen the originals? Anyway. Also, this is a subtweet, but maybe don't put any stock into what Anthony Daniels says about his co-stars, particularly when these comments are in a in the Daily Effin' Express. I'm not sure what. Okay, that's the name of the thing. Like, what does that matter? Those are his comments, and I don't think he said anything about his co-stars, but whatever. I mean, I'm sure he did somewhere else, but what does it matter? I can't wait for 3PO to get cooked. Can't wait for him to get cooked. Is there anybody who actually liked 3PO, even in the original movies? He was only there because George Lucas didn't have the balls to, or the ambition to have R2 on his own being like beep, beep, beep for the first 30 minutes of A New Hope. What? Okay. Oh, there's more. There's more than 12. We got 12 more. Who knew? Is there more? There's not more on this one. But, you get what I'm talking about. This is the real toxic fandom right here. Not the OG, not the people who want to, criticize the movies or whatever. But this here is the true toxic fandom. Right before your very eyes to look at. Several of these, of course, are, Twitter check marks on the first half here. A lot of them. Several of them, these are replies to those check marks, of course. Going, oh, yeah. But this here is the true toxic fandom. And I just realized we've been going on for about 16 minutes, and I wanted to get into things like I really dislike about the movie, but I think I should save that for another video, because it took so long just to get through just some of these toxic fandoms, or these people in the toxic fandom. And they want to sit there, and I guarantee each and every one of them, if they ever saw this, will look at it, and I will be the toxic fandom. For criticizing them, for telling, for coming out and just telling it how it is. They're the ones who are being toxic. They're the ones trying to run people off. The second you say something that is outside their wheelhouse that they don't like, they're the ones who come after you like piranhas after somebody has fallen into the water with an open wound. It's all them. We may criticize, and say, you could have done this better. This is how I would have liked to have seen it. It would have been great if this had happened instead. That's not toxic. But whatever. Anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will talk to you later. See ya.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.